Don, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I am a 21-year teacher who stepped away to start a nonprofit. And part of our duties is that we run the statewide pitch competition called Innovate WithIN. I'm on brand at the
There you
moment. My hoodie. No, and we have chapters now around the state. Actually, we've expanded to 3 other states. We get high school students together and probably eventually middle school students together once a month to do more entrepreneurial thinking activities. Most notably, we do like reverse pitch competitions once a month to help out small deserving nonprofits and social organizations, because a lot of times listening to their problems and then having them whiteboard solutions is really a good thing to get our students into that mindset, get them off TikTok for a couple of hours and get them into that state of purpose. So between our chapters and our boot camps and then the statewide pitch competition, that's a huge chunk of what we do.
So how have you guys pivoted to adjust to social distancing? I mean, number one, it's hard to be a nonprofit right now, but on the other hand, you're focused on entrepreneurship and innovation, so that should
Right.
almost be an opportunity for you.
Well, you beat me to it. We actually, it's funny, we had teachers reach out to us. Actually, I did a podcast about 3 weeks before the school shutdowns. And I halfway jokingly said, man, what would happen if all of a sudden we went to all e-learning? Didn't really think that was going to happen. And then, of course, things accelerated quickly. But I had a lot of teachers reach out to me, actually a lot from not in Indiana as well. But they said, hey, if we do, this would be the time we could like maybe use some of your curriculum. So they reached out and they're like, because the average thought then was that we were going to be gone for 2 weeks maybe. And so we put out a 2-week opportunity mindset / seeing problems as opportunities. And it was unique in the sense that I reached out to some people I'd had on the podcast. I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we taught a section and I'd introduce them to you? And so the you were some impressive people. And I was shocked on how many yeses I got. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to continue it because I got some emails after we were done going, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get back to you. But like, you know, Stephen Kotler, who is probably one of my favorite authors on his right now, his book is he and Peter Diamandis has a book called The Future is Faster Than You Think. That book is legendary. He is one of the leading authorities also on flow and neuroscience. So he did a thing on workspace and flow and getting yourself into a successful environment now that you're in COVID and working from home. We had the CEO and founder of Uber Elevate, their new flying car division for Uber, and Jeff Hoffman, who had started Priceline.com. Like these unbelievably really cool people. One of the founders of Palm Pilot, which, you know, a little bit. Anyway, she was awesome too. But like we put that kind of out there, and so a lot of students are starting to participate in it. And the thing that we love is that they're starting to get to know one another, which is actually one of the reasons why we did, you know, STARTedUP Foundation. We like getting kids to network because each other's skill sets start to mesh. So in some ways, that's kind of a digital solution. Now, I say that, and I desperately, though, want to go back to in-person events. Ironically enough, one of the things we're fighting is being on your phone too often. I don't think this is going to beat the in-person event. I mean, this is going to be a good Band-Aid, but boy, we do better when we're not digital. But that's one where we're adapting. The other really big story is that, you know, our big crown jewel is Innovate WithIN, the state pitch competition. And the first thought was, well, it's done. We're not, you know, we're screwed. We end up having it on Zoom and then also co-hosting it on Facebook Live. Didn't have a dropped call, didn't have a glitch, nothing. We had like 3,000 viewers. Like, so in a way, like the in-person thing might have garnered 400, 300 people. We 10x'd it, literally. So in some ways, like, and I mean, some of it is because people were bored and they were stuck at home and like, all right, let's hear what these kids from Indiana have. So I think that pivot was a huge win for us, is that, you know, we do have the nation's biggest pitch competition in the country. The payout is huge, and we could have folded, or we got innovative with Innovate WithIN. And so we had it on a Zoom call and, you know, put it on Facebook Live, and poof, it really, really, really did well. And it was awesome because this year's finalists, they weren't concepts. They were like investable idea. Actually, some of the students had already LLC'd and they've already got startup money and they're already making money. So it was a really good year to like let people look in digitally. So super excited and proud. Yeah.
How do you think other people who aren't doing what you're doing can kind of take the things that you've learned during this time and apply them to their own business or themselves?
Let me start off with a place of empathy. First of all, the only thing that's absolutely sad is when you are under stress and you are desperate, that is where your ideas don't come. So I think the first thing to do, if you are looking for opportunities, try your best to kind of clear your mind and have conversations with people. And that, again, harder than normal because of, like, if you're furloughed and if you're worried about your next, check, that's hard. But if you are in the place of, I can think ahead of time, there are a lot of opportunities out there. Seeing how people adapt. Let's just start with the simple things, like learning a new skill, right? You can go as simple as Fender right now has free guitar lessons online. There's that. But there's also a lot of like, I just talked to a friend of mine out in Phoenix. He's buying up 2 conferences and these were good, reputable conferences that he knows what it brought in. They're having to cancel this year. And he's like, hey, what are you going to do next year? I don't know. I don't even know if I want to go forward. How much do you want? And they're like, and they're just tired. This is kind of like, you buying real estate from a person that just wants to sell their house. Mm-hmm. So there's that. And then there's also just providing solutions and we had talked at the 430 networking group. I mean, these are people that's like, hey, how can I help? Is there anything you need? Just being helpful right now is really good long-term strategy for you having a good relationship, not a transactional relationship. And then that's my last piece of advice. I have a neighbor that's a hospital administrator, and the amount of charlatans and bad people trying to hustle you for an extra dime or a 30% markup. And so he's like, hey, we might fulfill this order because we're desperate, but just know this, we'll never do business with you again.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be a jerk right now and profiteer, go ahead. That short term might be a good thing. Short term. You're not going to win.
Yeah. What changes have you guys made that you're considering making permanent even after all this is over?
At least a co-broadcast of the state pitch competition. That's going to stay. And then also like some of these virtual challenges we're putting out on this class, we're starting to we created a closed LinkedIn group, and I'm not going to lie to you. It's not robust. It's been about, we had several hundred signups, and there's been about 15 that are like, yes, we're in. But from those 15, I can see that there's going to be more challenges and more cooperation. Because these students that have popped up, their teachers have also been interested. So now I've got this nice new group of awesome teachers from Pennsylvania, a second one from Pennsylvania, Colorado, Florida, another one in Indiana. So that's going to stick.
That's cool.
Yeah.
As we kind of wrap this up, what else do you want to share?
That I've got a podcast if you're ever bored. So STARTedUP Podcast. And then just trying to impress upon people. This is our desperate plea, is that Innovate WithIN is, again, the biggest pitch competition for high schoolers in the country. Governor Holcomb thought that it should not be taxpayer based only. And so our funding is going to run through next year, and then we phase out. We strongly believe that the corporations and the small businesses of Indiana need to pitch in. And whether that's in the form of in-kind services or a $500 check or a $5,000 check or a $50,000 check, this should not be government ran. This should be all hands on deck for the business community of Indiana.
And something I just thought of about that too, it might be small, but people can help by designating STARTedUP as on Amazon Smile, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Technically, every order you make on Amazon, they will give to a charity if you tell them who you want to go to, and you have to go through a process. So it's not like every single charity's on there. So yes, if you think Amazon makes too much money, they will give 0.5% to StartedUP Foundation should you list us. And I think you have the link. So if you want to share that in this broadcast as well, you can. But yeah, it adds up quick. I mean, you have somebody that makes $100 order and we get $5, and enough people get $5 and you're like, hey, this is pretty awesome. So it would be appreciated.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time and kind of sharing a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Drew.